Good day dear students. In this video we shall see about the salient features of Indian Constitution, the preamble to Indian Constitution, various parts of the Indian Constitution and various schedules that come under the Indian Constitution. In this slide we shall see the salient features of our Constitution. Indian Constitution is called as one of the largest written constitution in the world because of its contents. In its original form, it consists of approximately 395 articles and 8 schedules, to which additions have been made through subsequent amendments, and at present it contains 395 articles and 12 schedules, to which and more than 80 amendments. And there are various factors responsible for the long size of the constitution. One major factor was that the framers of the constitution borrowed the various provisions from several sources and several other constitutions of the world. They followed and reproduced the Government of India Act 1935 in providing matters of administrative detail, and secondly it was necessary to make provisions for the very peculiar problem of our country, like scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, backward regions, diversity of the country, the stretch of the country. And thirdly, provisions were made for elaborative center and state relations in all aspects of administration and other activities. Then the size of the constitution became bulky, as provisions regarding the state administration were also included, and further a detailed list of individual rights, directive principles of the state policy, and the details of the administrative procedure were also laid down to make constitution clear and unambiguous for the ordinary citizens, and thus the Constitution of India became an exhaustive and lengthy one. Hence, there is a saying Indian Constitution is the bulky document. The second salient feature of a constitution is it is partly rigid and partly flexible. The Constitution of India is neither purely rigid nor purely flexible. There is a harmonious blend of rigidity and flexibility. Some parts of the Constitution can be amended by ordinary law making process by the Parliament, whereas certain provisions can be amended only when a bill for that purpose is passed in each house of the Parliament by a majority of the total membership of the house. And by a majority, what we mean is at least 2/3 of the members have to agree and vote in favor of the bill. Then there are certain other provisions which can be amended by second method and are ratified by legislatures of not less than 1/2 of the states. Therefore, before it is being presented to the president for his approval. It must also be noted that power to initiate any bill for amendment of the Constitution lies only in the Parliament alone and not in any of the state legislatures. The third salient feature of our Constitution is it is a democratic republic. India is a democratic republic. It means that sovereignty rests with the people of India. They govern themselves through their representatives who are elected on the basis of universal adult franchising. The President of India, who is the highest official of the state, is elected for a fixed term of 5 years. Although India is a sovereign republic, yet it continues to be a member of the Commonwealth of Nations, with the British monarch as its head. Her membership of the Commonwealth does not compromise her position as the sovereign republic. The Commonwealth is an association of free and independent nations, and British monarch is only a symbolic head of that association. The fourth salient feature of our constitution is the parliamentary system of governance. India has adopted the parliamentary system which is found in Britain. In this system, the executive is responsible to the legislatures, and the executive remains in power as long as it enjoys the confidence of the legislature. The President of India, who remains in office for 5 years, is the nominal or titular or constitutional head. The Union Council of Ministers, along with the Prime Minister, who is the head of the Union Council of Ministers, draw their power from the legislature, and the Union Council of Ministers along with Prime Minister are collectively responsible to the House of the People or the Lok Sabha. The House of the People are also called as Lok Sabha, and the moment the Council of Ministers and the Prime Minister lose the confidence of the House of the People, they have to resign from office. The President, who is the nominal executive, shall exercise his powers according to the advice of the Union Council of Ministers, and the real executive, the Prime Minister. In the states also, the government is parliamentary in nature, where governor is the head of the state who exercises his duties and responsibilities through the state cabinet and the chief minister. The fifth salient feature of the constitution is federal structure or a federation. It means that sovereignty rests with the people of India. They govern themselves through their representatives who are elected on the basis of universal adult franchising. The President of India, who is the highest official of the state, is elected for a fixed term of 5 years. Although India is a sovereign republic, yet it continues to be a member of the Commonwealth of Nations, with the British monarch as its head. Her membership of the Commonwealth does not compromise her position as the sovereign republic. The Commonwealth is an association of free and independent nations, and British monarch is only a symbolic head of that association. The fourth salient feature of our constitution is the parliamentary system of governance. India has adopted the parliamentary system which is found in Britain. In this system, the executive is responsible to the legislatures, and the executive remains in power as long as it enjoys the confidence of the legislature. The President of India, who remains in office for 5 years, is the nominal or titular or constitutional head. The Union Council of Ministers, along with the Prime Minister, who is the head of the Union Council of Ministers, draw their power from the legislature, and the Union Council of Ministers along with Prime Minister are collectively responsible to the House of the People or the Lok Sabha. The House of the People are also called as Lok Sabha, and the moment the Council of Ministers and the Prime Minister lose the confidence of the House of the People, they have to resign from office. The President, who is the nominal executive, shall exercise his powers according to the advice of the Union Council of Ministers, and the real executive, the Prime Minister. In the states also, the government is parliamentary in nature, where governor is the head of the state who exercises his duties and responsibilities through the state cabinet and the chief minister. The fifth salient feature of the constitution is federal structure or a federation. The Article 1 of the Constitution of India says that India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. Though the word federation is not used, the government is federal. A state is federal when three conditions are satisfied. The first one is there are two sets of governments and there is distribution of power between the two governments. In our country we have a central government and a state government, and there is clear distinction of distribution of power between the two governments, that is the central government and the state government. Second point is there is a written constitution which is supreme law of the land. And the third point is there is an independent judiciary to interpret the constitution and settle the disputes between the center and the states. So all these features are present in the Constitution of India, and there are two sets of governments, one at the center, the other at the state level, and the distribution of power between them is very detailed in Constitution. It is clearly mentioned in the Constitution in detailed. The Constitution of India is written and the supreme law of the land, and at the apex of single integrated judicial system we have a Supreme Court which is also independent from the control of the executives and the legislatures. The sixth salient feature is the fundamental rights. A state is known by the rights it maintains and provides to its citizens. The Constitution of India affirms the basic principle that every individual is entitled to enjoy certain basic rights, and all these rights are mentioned in the Part 3 of the Constitution. The Part 3 of the Constitution deals with the rights which are known as fundamental rights. Originally there were 7 categories of rights, but now there are only 6 in number. They are right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, and right to constitutional remedies. The right to property, as per the Article 31, that was originally a fundamental right, has been omitted by the 44th Amendment Act of 1978, and it is a legal right as on today. The seventh salient feature of a constitution is the directive principle of state policy. A novel feature of a constitution is that it contains a chapter in the directive principle of the state policy. These principles are in the nature of directives to the government to implement them for the establishment of social and economic democracy in the country. It embodies important principles like adequate means of livelihood, equal pay for both men and women, distribution of wealth so as to subserve the common good, free and compulsory primary education, right to work, public assistance in case of old age, unemployment, sickness, and disablement, organization of village panchayats, special care to the economically backward sections of the people, etc. Most of these principles could help in making India a welfare state. Though not justifiable, these principles have been stated as a fundamental in the governance of our country. The eighth salient feature of a constitution is the fundamental duties. A new Part 4A after the directive principle of state policy was incorporated in the constitution by the 42nd Amendment of 1976 for fundamental duties. These duties are to abide by the constitution and respect all the ideals of the Constitution and institutions like the national flag and the national anthem, to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national freedom struggle, to upload to uphold and protect the sovereignty and unity and integrity of our country, to defend the country. The fourth duty is to defend the country and render national service whenever it is the need of the hour. The fifth fundamental duty is to promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood among all the people of India, transcending religions, linguistics, regional and sectional diversities, to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of the women. The sixth fundamental duty is to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. The seventh fundamental duty is to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, and to have a compassion for living creatures. The eighth fundamental duty of a citizen is to develop a scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform. The ninth fundamental duty is to safeguard public property and to abjure violence. The tenth fundamental duty is to strive towards the excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity so that the nation constantly rises to higher levels of endeavor and achievement. The purpose of incorporating these duties in the Constitution is to remind the people that while we enjoy the rights as a citizen, we should also perform our duties. For rights and duties are like two faces of a coin. They are correlative to each other. The ninth salient feature of our Constitution is that our Constitution says or tells that India is a secular state. A secular state is neither religious nor irreligious or anti-religious. Rather, it is quite neutral in matters of religion. So, India is a country wherein the Constitution does not speak anything about the religion. It is neutral in terms of religion. So, India being a land of many religions, the founding fathers of the Constitution thought it right to make it a secular state. So, India is a secular state because it does not make any discrimination between individuals on the basis of their religion. So, all the people of all the religion are treated equal in terms of the eyes of the nation. Neither it encourages nor discourages any religion. On contrary, the right to religion or the right to freedom of religion is one of the rights that is incorporated in our Constitution, and it is incorporated to ensure and it is incorporated in the Constitution to ensure that people belonging to any religious group have the right to profess, practice, and propagate their religion as they like. The 10th salient feature is the independent judiciary. So, this is one of the very important salient features of our Constitution. The judiciary occupies an important place in the Constitution, and it also makes the judiciary as independent of the legislature and executive. So the Supreme Court of India stands at the apex of a single integrated judicial system. It acts as a protector of fundamental rights of Indian citizens and the guardian of the Constitution. In any law passed by the legislature or action taken by the executive contravenes the provisions of the Constitution, they can be declared as null and void by the Supreme Court. Thus, it has the power of judicial review. But judicial review in India constitutes a middle path between the American judicial supremacy in one hand and the British parliamentary supremacy in the other. Next important feature is the single citizenship. The Constitution of India recognizes only one or only single citizenship. In United States there is provision for dual citizenship, but in India we are citizens of India and India alone, and not the respective states to which we belong. This provision will help in promoting unity and integrity of the nation. So this is a very sa- salient feature that is found in our constitution. These are the 11 salient features of our constitution. So next is the preamble to the Indian constitution. Here we can see the first part of a constitution that is inscribed or written in our constitution, the preamble, which states that we the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all of its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. So this is inscribed on the very first page of our constitution, which is known as the preamble, which specifically tells that the people of our country, the citizens, have given this constitution to the citizens. And this was approved by the Constituent Assembly on 26th November 1949, and it was adopted to the by the people on 26th January 1950. So this is the preamble to our constitution. Parts of the constitution. The Constitution of India, like I said, is a very huge and bulky document, and it covers a lot of sections. So as seen below, there are totally 395 articles in 22 parts, and the parts of the Indian Constitution are mentioned as below. The first part deals with the Union and its territory, how the states are formed, how the Union territories are formed, what are the demarcation. All these things are explained in part 1. The part 2 speaks about the citizenship, how the citizenship is awarded to individuals, is explained in the part 2. Part 3 speaks about the fundamental rights. Part 3 speaks about the fundamental rights of the individual. Part 4 speaks about the directive principles of the state policy. Part 4a speaks about the fundamental duties. Part 5 speaks about the union, the demarcation of our country, and the laws pertaining to the union. Part 6 speaks about the states and the various states of the country. Part 7 speaks about the states in Part P of the first schedule. Part 8 speaks about the union territories, how the union territories are formed, what is the administrative structure for them, are explained in Part 8. Part 9 speaks about the panchayats, the formation of panchayats at village level and administration of the panchayats. Part 9a speaks about the municipalities. Part 10 speaks about the scheduled and tribal areas, the administration of the scheduled areas and tribal areas, the laws and rules pertaining to these areas are explained in part 10. We shall see about the remaining parts in the next slide. Part 11 speaks about the relation between the union and the states, how governance happens between the union government or the central government and the state government, how the power sharing happens between the union government and the state government is explained in part 11. Part 12 speaks about the finance, property, contracts and suits. Part 13 speaks about how trade and commerce has to be happening in the country. What is the commerce and intercourse within the territories of India? What and all procedures and norms to be followed for trade to happen are explained in this part. Part 14 speaks about the services under the union and the states. Part 14a speaks about the various tribunals. Part 15 speaks about the election, how the election has to be occurred, who is in charge, how the election commissioner is to be appointed, what are their rights, from when does the election commission becomes active. So all these things are explained in part 15. Part 16 speaks about the special provisions relating to certain classes or certain groups of classes. Part 17 speaks about the official language. What is the official language of the country? All these things are. What is the official language of the states? Which and all official languages can be considered are explained in this part. Part 18 speaks about the emergency provisions. What are the rights of individual during emergency, the rights of the government during emergency, for how long the emergency can be laid, what are the various types of emergencies are explained in this part. Similarly, part 19 speaks about miscellaneous issues and part 20 speaks about the amendment of the constitution, how the amendment can be done, what are the rules and regulations to be followed for the amendment. Part 21 speaks about the temporary, translational and special provisions. Part 22 speaks about the short title commencement authoritative text in Hindi and its repeals. In this slide we shall see about the schedules of Indian Constitution. Schedules to the Constitution of India can be added through the amendments to it. There are 12 schedules to Constitution of India as on date, which are effective at present and are explained as below. The first schedule is about the states and the union territories of India. The second schedule speaks about the provisions made to the president and the governors of the states, speakers, the deputy speakers of the House of the People, chairman of the Council of the States, deputy chairman of the Council of the States, speaker and deputy speaker of the Legislative Assembly for the states, the chairman and the deputy chairman of the Legislative Council of the states, the judges of the Supreme Court and the judges of the High Courts, and the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. The third schedule speaks about the forms of oath and affirmation. The fourth schedule speaks about the allocation of seats in the Council of States. The fifth schedule, provision for the administration and control of scheduled areas and scheduled tribes are mentioned in this fifth schedule. The amendment of the schedule is also included in the part D of this schedule. Sixth schedule deals with the provision of the administration of tribal areas in states of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. Seventh schedule speaks about the list 1 or the union list, list 2 or the state list and list 3 or the concurrent list are included in this. Eighth schedule, the 22 language selected as the official languages of India are mentioned in this schedule. Ninth schedule, validation of certain acts and regulation is dealt in this schedule. The 10th schedule, the 7th schedule, the list 1 or the union list, list 2 or the state list and list 3 or the concurrent list are explained in this schedule. In 8th schedule, 22 languages that are selected to be the official language of India are explained and mentioned in this schedule. In ninth schedule, validation of certain acts and regulations of these acts are dealt and explained in this schedule. 10th schedule, provisions as to disqualification on ground of defection of the member of the parliament and member of the state legislature is explained and mentioned in this schedule. In the 11th schedule, talks about the powers, authority and responsibility of the panchayats. The 12th schedule speaks about the powers, authority and responsibility of municipalities which are explained in this schedule.